Everyone, it's Catherine Coley here with another AMA for Binance US. This time, I've got the CTO of Enjin, Witek Radomski. I'm so excited because we're going to be talking all about the hottest thing in the market these days, NFTs. So get ready and we're going to start with all your questions that you've asked. But first, I want to ask a little bit more about Witek. Let's get started. Can you share us a little bit about yourself, how you got into this, and what it is that Enjin is providing for the world today?
Hey, yeah, so I've been into gaming for a long time, and Enjin started a long time ago, probably. We started working on gaming websites and communities for gamers probably about 15 years ago. And this turned into something called the Enjin CMS Community Builder back in 2008, 2009. And we made this sort of social network website building tool that people could just use to build their own communities. We added things for monetization, so people would run Minecraft servers or guilds. They could get donations, they could get perks in the game. And that grew to 20 million users, 200-some thousand communities. And in 2017, we saw a big opportunity in the blockchain space for people to actually own things inside games. And we saw that tens of thousands of our communities were monetizing their system, monetizing their Minecraft servers and games. And we thought about using Ethereum to make these tokens that you can basically assign anything in a game, like a weapon, a skin, anything like a currency inside a game, and use it and own it and trade it with people inside the game. So we made this whole platform of tools and services and a token, Enjin coin, just to be able to tokenize your real items and make them real.
When was the first time you played a video game?
The first time? Oh, my dad got a computer way back when in the 90s. And I think one of my first games was Commander Keen. It was like an old 486. It had 33 megahertz. It had 100 megabytes of hard drive space, and I thought that was huge. It was so much space. He actually taught me how to program back when I was a little kid. So I started with QBasic. I started modifying the games that were there. Like there was this Snakes game, I think it was called Nibbles. And so, yeah, and then I started playing Doom and really got into gaming, and my whole life was filled with gaming.
And when did you realize that gaming could be the focus of your career?
You know what? When I started playing online games, I was playing shooter games, Counter-Strike, Team Fortress, and things like that. And all these clans started wanting to have websites and Flash intros, if anyone remembers that back in the day. So I started making those for people. And then Maxim, who's the CEO of Enjin, and I got together and we started really trying to build something bigger. So then we made Enjin. And it really grew by itself. Like we started with no money, and it just grew into this giant thing where there's hundreds of thousands of communities, which is crazy.
Amazing. So when we're talking about where Enjin is headed right now, what is it that you're providing into the market, and how can people begin to interact with Enjin and the products that it's building?
So right now, we're giving like two different, or basically three different kinds of people services. So game developers who want to build a game that has something new, some new kind of technology that allows people to have ownership, take their items in and out of the game, create marketplaces and trade, potentially monetize their game. You know, like a lot of our early adopters have been being able to monetize their early games by pre-selling the items in the game, and then users can get those items and then play the game and have those perks. So that's one audience. It's really the game developers who want to build on this new blockchain technology and these NFTs and collectibles. And then the second audience is, you know, people who use the Enjin wallet, people who want to gain items, trade them, build their own digital identity. I think our wallet right now is really an amazing tool for, you know, holding these assets. And we're actually working on this right now. We're working on a complete redesign of Enjin Wallet, and we can talk about that a little bit later. It's going to be a real central hub for users, and it'll let you find and explore NFTs and really do some cool things with them. And then finally, I think we're also looking at enterprises. So enterprises are using these NFTs and collectibles to gamify their businesses. We early on, we announced a partnership with Microsoft Azure for their Azure Heroes program. We made these Badger tokens, and they are distributing them worldwide, mainly in Western Europe, but it's going to be going further than that soon. And when people attend conferences, events, digital events, they can receive these badgers. And if they do things like mentor people, create blog posts, things like that, then those people get special rare tokens for doing that. And now I just saw Microsoft posted on Twitter that they've made a plushie with these badgers. So you can actually get these tokens, you redeem them, and you can get a physical plushie for being part of the Microsoft Azure community. So we're doing that with more enterprises, and we're really going to be pushing into that in 2021. I think that there's going to be some huge opportunities. We're going to be making some announcements in a few weeks about our enterprise stuff that we're working on, which is pretty cool.
That's so exciting. We had the pleasure of working with you guys for July 4th. Definitely America's biggest holiday, and Binance US definitely wanted to celebrate with a big bam. So we had our first NFT brought on by the Enjin team, and I remember the excitement for people to see, I think one was called Liberty Blue or American Dream, and they were just really awesome to be able to see it, use the Enjin wallet. It was super easy and got a lot of people their first access to NFTs. What's your advice for folks that are beginning to get into this space, and how Enjin's working to kind of bring the adoption mainstream?
Well, right now, it's a very early space. I really think that we're still in the nascent early days of this. Right now, if you want us just as a user to get involved and experience what these NFTs are like, grab a wallet, start playing some of these games, participate in some of these opportunities where you can gain some NFTs. You can also start, going to markets like Enjin Marketplace or OpenSea and trading these NFTs. Basically, right now it's early, but I think as in the next couple of years, we're going to see some large players come into the space. We're going to see a lot more games coming out that you can actually use these NFTs and trade them and collect them. So it's going to be fun.
I love being part of your journey. So our second experience with Enjin, where the first time we just learned about NFTs, we're able to access them through the wallet. Now you're able to play on 4 different games with Binance, or we call them Bunance.us, the Halloween edition of our NFTs. So we're super excited to celebrate Halloween with you guys and begin to see it interact in these games. But let's get started on some of the questions that were brought to you from your loyal Twitter following. You had a ton of questions, and I'm excited to get to some of them right now. So for the first question, this comes from our Twitter user, H. Jundor. He says, from my perspective, Enjin is trying to create the new functionality and use cases that people haven't thought of before. What are your thoughts on Enjin being the leading NFT, FT, and asset platform? What's your vision?
Well, we're definitely doing our best to be the most accessible and most user-friendly platform. I see a lot of adoption happening. We're working with a lot of interesting partners. Our technology, we've been really focusing for the last 4 to 6 months right now on making everything a lot more usable. So I think in 2021, you're going to see a complete revamp of our entire platform, our wallet, our Explorer. So I definitely see that Enjin has a real big chance of becoming one of the top 2 or 3 players in the world long term. So yeah, we're doing everything we can. This is our vision. This is what we're going to be doing for a long time.
Enhancing user experience. I love that. It changes every week that we've got to enhance, make it easier for people, make that adoption almost intuitive.
Yeah, so like, one thing we're really focusing on now is making it more fun because, imagine you just get a wallet as a new person. I want to experience blockchain, like nothing's going on in the wallet. It's just blank, right? You need ways to get people involved, get people engaged with these different experiences and NFTs. So we're really focusing on that wallet right now and the Explorer to really show people what NFTs are out there, help them discover new ones, have kind of things they can do to earn and gain more NFTs and collect these things. So it's going to be really interesting in the next few months and possibly next year.
Do you want to spoil any of these? The next question you have is, hi, Witek. Enjin wallet is a great product and I've been using it for a year. In the past months, new wallets were launched with a ton of features and also really easy to use. Is Enjin planning to do some kind of revamp and add new features? Okay. Don't spoil it, maybe.
Okay. So yeah, obviously, yeah, we are. So we're doing a complete redesign of the wallet. We're still keeping it as easy and friendly for people to use, but we're looking at the core usability features, making it really easy to get access to your NFTs. Also just things like backing up your wallet. People are having trouble, writing down those seed phrases. It's a big usability barrier. We're looking at ways of creating easy backups through the wallet. We're creating a whole sort of explorer system where you can go and explore and find new ways to gain and earn NFTs directly through your mobile wallet. So you can just download the new wallet when it comes out next year, and you can start exploring all the different NFTs in the world, see the new ones that pop up, and there's going to be a lot of ways to earn NFTs through there.
Awesome. This question comes from Parazimopen. They say, in a recent Enjin Telegram chat, you mentioned the Enjin team has made some tech breakthroughs with Efinity. Could you share a little bit about what you meant?
So, okay, yeah. So we've been working on Efinity for a good number of years now. Efinity is our scaling and sort of way of making these transactions free and fast. So we're not trying to scale, all of Ethereum. We're not trying to scale all of blockchain, everything, all smart contracts. We're trying to create something that makes using these NFTs really fast and free for everybody. So we've been playing with all sorts of technology over the last few years. We played with Plasma. We've been messing with state channels. Right now, I think we found the best of all the worlds. We started looking at things like ZK Starks, and we played around with that technology. But now we are looking at using hardware, and this is something that no one's ever done before. We're using hardware to generate these proofs that then can be verified by anyone in the world. And I'll be releasing a video probably in the next few weeks, sometime probably in November, for the community to explain how this works. But it's just a completely new method of approaching creating off-chain transactions. And we're seeing transaction speeds upwards of 500 transactions per second. We're trying to optimize in every way possible. But right now, our real goals are make these things fast. So you trade something inside a game, the person gets it right away. They can withdraw it right away. Make it free, so new people joining a game or joining any kind of NFT experience can instantly start receiving and trading these things without any ether, any crypto required.
Nice.
And just, in general, allow high throughput, so we can have games where people are just picking, endless things up inside a game, trading them, sending them to each other, not seeing any lag.
What was your inspiration for including hardware in this solution?
So we're working with a really interesting research team, and they made some breakthroughs very recently about this. So with Starks, with zero-knowledge Starks, to generate the proofs, you have to do this really expensive operation on these servers that are set up. And it has some drawbacks, it has some downsides. You have to batch a lot of transactions together to be able to generate a proof. We are now able to heavily optimize that. And I can't really get into the details quite yet, but we'll release an explainer video in a few weeks, because we just want to present it the right way to people. But it's something completely new. So anyone can really have that full security of blockchain, but do all these trades and do all these transactions inside these games in the interim.
We'll look out for that video soon. I'm excited. Our next question is from Bernstein Tim. He says, when it comes to the company, what are you most proud of?
Honestly, I'm just amazed that we were able to achieve so much. We're building so many different things and we're trying to innovate on each front. You know, our wallet, I love using it. I know there's a million people out there that have the Enjin wallet. It's really great. I'm proud of getting ERC 1155 adopted as an official standard on Ethereum. I think that's going to lead to many more developments in the coming years in terms of a real core way of handling these assets. And just in general, just the way our team is growing, you know, we're bringing on new developers. We've just hired 3 new developers in the last month. And we're all working on these different projects, but we're all making them cohesive. And I'm just proud that we're able to make this full seamless experience. And I think now in the coming year or two, you'll really see this come together and this use cases start showing up.
Where do you find most of your talent joining your team? And what, if people are interested in joining your team, should they be focused on right now?
Well, we put up job posts on our careers page on our website, and we get hundreds of applicants. So we've been, you know, we've been interviewing a lot. You can apply there if you're really passionate about blockchain. We're really interested in people who really want to explore new ideas. This is a really fast-moving space. So, you know, you have to be willing to learn new languages, explore new technology that's completely alien that you've never heard of before. But yeah, it's great. The 3 people we just hired are amazing, and we may be looking to hire more in the future.
That's exciting. My cousin's a gamer, but I might tell him to level up and start looking at the Enjin job post to
it's really exciting
prepare. He's about 10 years too young for a job.
Oh, okay.
But never say never, right?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the crypto people these days, you know, Vitalik was what, 20 when he made Ethereum or something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's the exciting part about crypto is it's happening in our lifetime, live action right now. Yeah. Our next question is from Buchan Mayer. He says, or she says, beyond gaming, what is the next value add function for Enjin?
Well, really, the one thing we're focusing on a lot in this next year is going to be enterprise. We've, you know, we announced a partnership with BMW, with Microsoft Azure. There's a lot more coming in the enterprise space. A lot of these enterprises are actually just coming to us because right now, you know, it's turning into a more digital world. COVID has made people interact more digitally, and you can do a lot with the seamless collectibles and transactions on the blockchain. So these companies are finding ways to gamify and make their own products more interesting using these tools. Absolutely.
This question comes from Zero Trust 3. They ask, will the digital art market surpass the value of the physical art market within the next 10 years?
Well, that's an interesting one. You know, it's interesting. I want to see how digital art gets limited in some sense. You have to have a platform to put this digital art on for it to be limited. But I guess with a blockchain token, you do have that sort of limited ownership. The thing about art is, you know, with digital art, you can create copies. With physical art, you know, you have that one piece that you put up on your wall. But I do see a lot of artists and a lot of the young artists these days are just using digital tools to make their art. I mean, I think there's a lot more digital art being created now than physical paintings, right? So I could see that happening, especially with artists, you know, using Patreon and, you know, making commissions for people and things like that. I could see that market growing quite a bit.
I'm excited because as well, I've not been able to attend any museums or galleries during this experience of COVID. So being able to see art and different expressions of art through digital means has been something that's super exciting.
You know, I'm a huge, every time I visit another city, I go straight to the art gallery. And I'm kind of disappointed that there's not enough high resolution scans of art that I can look at. They're all just these little, you know, JPEGs or whatever. So I would love to see galleries do that more, like create super high res ones. You can look, zoom in, see all the little details that the painter put in and stuff.
What's your favorite city and favorite art museum?
Oh, I think the one that you can just spend days in is the one in Chicago.
I was gonna say, I spent
Right?
a good 10 hours in the Chicago Art Institute.
My legs were so tired I couldn't walk afterwards. It was crazy.
And I found it on my own. I wasn't, I think my phone had died or something, and I was just walking the streets of Chicago. For some reason, whenever I go to Chicago, I'm only there for a limited amount of time. I think that's so I don't have a mixed view of it. I don't get too cold, or I don't, have too much fun in that city. But I found it on my own and was just blown away by the masterpieces that are just there and available. It's also a beautiful layout of a museum.
I had no idea what I was going to see when I was there, and I just see these iconic pieces like, holy cow, that one's in here, and like that one's in here. Wow. So yeah. But there's definitely a lot of digital art being created now that is just absolutely mind blowing, and I really want to see some more curated experiences for that too.
What's your favorite piece right now that's interactive in games that you guys have either created, helped design, or influenced?
A token?
A piece, like whether it's a sword, a pumpkin helmet.
That's hard to say. I mean, there's so much art. I have to say, the artist that works with Enjin is pretty amazing. All the multiverse items he's made and all the art he's doing for us is just spectacular. One thing we haven't really promoted much. So we got an artist to do a comic book about Enjin. I hope we can do more with that because it was kind of talking about the multiverse. It was a really cool project to work on back in the day.
That is really neat. I think that's a great way of sharing a narrative too about a company, is going back to our roots of comic books and how visual explanations are oftentimes some of the best ways to capture the concepts that we're building in this digital arena. We'll go to our next question that is from Durden Magnet. They said, can players through their actions add value to the assets they have in the game? What is the mechanism for evaluating game assets, and can the player influence them?
Yeah, so this is already available. Our ERS 1155 standard and our platform, you can actually track history. Anything that happens to a token emits an event. So if you trade it, there's an event that's fully stored on the blockchain forever. You can create a browser that then shows all those events, and this went through all these people's hands, this one went to these NPCs. You can also do on-chain metadata. We haven't really advertised this feature too much, and we should probably write some better documentation about it, but you can add on-chain metadata. So if you do something crazy in a game, you can put a stamp on it, right, from the game developer, or you can pass your token to a famous person or just show it to them and they can put their stamp on it. So there's ways to add that metadata. I think this needs to be developed a bit more thoroughly in SDKs, but you could easily build a framework where in any game, you literally can see the history of anything. Every action that happened to that token, you can build even quests out of that. If a game developer, there's some RPGs being built on Enjin right now. I think, they could really build some sort of dynamic narrative system where they show, oh, you defeated this NPC to get this item. It'd be kind of interesting to play with.
That's pretty neat. Speaking of the metaverse, we're gonna get a little meta here. This is a question from Mel Telbrot. They said, in your mind, what is the biggest benefit to society that Enjin can provide? Is it what drives you? And is the journey so far what you thought it would be?
That is a really interesting question. I definitely think that we're doing this for the society in a sense. We want to create new kinds of how can I say this? New kinds of economic structures and new kinds of interaction with assets. So I really want people to have a digital identity that they have ownership of things in. And I want to create new ways of monetizing where that's not just selling subscriptions or selling copies of a game. You can create economies that are completely different. You can create games that are, in a sense, altruistic. You can create a lot of different structures using the blockchain that weren't possible. I think that's why Satoshi Nakamoto, invented Bitcoin, because when you take, you know, this sort of capitalism and these financial instruments to the extreme, they become pretty brutal. With blockchain, you can create a consensus among people to interact in different ways. And, you know, a lot of the things that we're doing now, we're basically funded by the community. You know, we're able to create some altruistic technology that is technically, we're not going to even monetize some of it, but it's going to make the entire community platform more rich. So, you know, we're like, a lot of things we're developing right now for 2021, including parts of Efinity, they're not going to be, you know, for monetizing and just trying to get every penny out of people. We're really just trying to make this technology as useful and accessible as possible. And I live for that, and a lot of our team lives for that.
That's amazing. What are your role models in gaming, and who do you kind of look for to inspire your team and your own vision?
Oh, well, I have to say, this guy's probably, you know, a role model for a lot of people in the game industry. But John Carmack, the way that he was able to innovate for decades through, you know, from just the innovations he did in technology when you couldn't do a proper side-scrolling game, he did in Commander Keen, to the 3D engines he worked on, which is just amazing. He's kept on doing that, and then he got into Oculus, you know, in VR. We want to make these same kind of breakthroughs and use technology, like be on the cutting edge and use this new tech the best way we can, just like they did with in id Software.
Once transaction cost issues are out of the way, where do we go next?
Well, it's going to be all about education for game developers and users, creating much more seamless experiences in all of our products. So, you know, right now, when somebody wants to build a game, they still have to learn, you know, how are we going to monetize this? How are we going to present this to people? We're hoping in 2021 we can build some kind of like a guide, cookbook, recipe book of ways to, you know, first monetize, how to make markets in your game, how to design these things properly. Because a lot of the game studios we're talking to right now, they are trying to figure this out as we go. And, you know, they're trying something, then, you know, they're seeing what kind of user feedback they get. They come back to us, we give them suggestions. They don't know how many rare collectibles they should make, for example, right? There should be some templates people can follow. So I think there's a lot of education to be done after that point. But in general, we're just going to continue improving our technology. There's a lot of things we want to improve. Like, for example, right now, it's really hard to deal with large numbers of NFTs. If you want to send 10,000 of NFTs from one wallet to another, it's very difficult. We want to break down those barriers. We want to allow things like duplicating and cloning NFTs, so you can just make your own in 1 second. We want to add rich, like 3D, rich video to these NFTs, not just little icons, right? And just lots of cool things, questing, crafting mechanics, all these new gameplay things we can start exploring now that the basics are going to be nailed down pretty soon here.
So if someone wants to learn more about Enjin, your team, yourself, what's next and ahead, what should they be following? How do they get access to this educational material? And where would you steer them first?
Well, check out our documentation on our website and check out the cloud platform. You can already log in and play around. We're making the cloud platform free for everybody to use now. And follow our Telegram. We're going to be active in the Telegram channel, posting there a lot. I'm going to try to be more active in there. I've been pretty heads down in the last half year because we've been, you know, it's been Efinity, it's been all these new changes we've been doing. It's been a crazy whirlwind of work, but we're going to do our best to stay in touch with the community as much as possible.
So we absolutely thank you for this time that you've taken away from your day of building to ask and answer some questions for folks. What are the questions? We'll spin this AMA around the other way. What are some questions that you hope your followers and those excited about Enjin should be asking the team and thinking about to help you all build better?
You know what? The biggest learning experiences we've had are the interactions between our early adopters and the enterprises that are using Enjin. I'd love to get more inquiries from game developers who are confused about how to use this in their games. I want to have this one-on-one discussion with game devs, with companies, and learn what are their challenges. Are they completely not understanding how NFTs are going to help them? We want to talk with you. We want to find out what your challenges are in your game, in your business, and think of new ways to monetize, new ways to create collectibles that are interesting for people, and really how to present this to your users so that people understand what they're getting. It's not just an icon online. It's really a blockchain collectible. So I want to talk with people. I want to create new forms of gameplay. Anyone who has some interesting ideas with that, we should talk and talk with our team.
You heard it, folks. Don't be shy. Jump into that Telegram chat and get those questions asked. We've got another question that is really interesting compared to the sequence we saw this summer, how DeFi turned into the NFT craze. So what is your view on these virtual worlds with NFTs and DeFi services and cross-platform interoperability?
Well, I think it's the natural evolution of everything here. The digital world is going to become more and more real and physical. And, people are seeing that now we need some kind of laws, some kind of hard, solid rules that can't be manipulated by governments. Whenever a human can manipulate these things, there's always problems, right? So we want social contracts. So that's what this NFT space gives you. It gives you a hard and fast forever contract that whatever you do with these items, you're going to it's going to follow those rules. It's going to follow those contracts. So we always expected this to happen. I only see this getting a lot larger. I really don't think it's going to slow down. It's just going to take the right people building the right games, the right businesses with this technology, and we're seeing that happen. Actually, our growth rate for game developers has been 70%, over 70% this year. So we've almost doubled, and I think by the end of the year we'll double the amount of game developers we have in Enjin. Awesome.
What's the one thing is true about ENJ that almost no one in the industry agrees with you on?
Well, we're still the only real platform that is allowing people to infuse an ERC20 token into an asset. So you can back your game items like a sword or your helmet. You can actually put a physical liquid currency into it. And that gives it a material value, just like you can have a piece of like a sword in real life that has some metal in it that you can melt down. So no one's really been playing with that. And I think that's one mechanic that we can still do a lot more with. I want to experiment with more forms of infusing that Enj into these items, different mechanics playing with that in the future.
So that kind of goes into the question of what sort of utilities does the Enj coin have itself, and what kind of incentives or streams of revenues can the Enj coin holders have?
Yeah, so I mean, right now the Enjin token, you can use it as a currency for paying for things. Mainly, you can use it as an infusion into your items. We're also going to be using it in Efinity. We'll have more on that in our explainer video, but there's going to be certain ways you can use Enj. I mean, a very basic one is obviously if you pass your throttling limits on it, you can't just do millions of transactions per second. You're eventually going to get throttled. So you might want to pay some Enj to get unthrottled, right? There's also going to be potential ways to earn some money by staking Enj. So we'll be playing with those ideas.
That's super exciting. Enj is available on Binance US if anyone doesn't know where to get it. I know a guy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing everything there is about Enj and the world of NFTs and gaming. It's clear that it's an exciting path ahead, and we've got so much to look forward to with your team leading this charge. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It was fun.